Okay, welcome back to the Diastasis project. We've got the Q&A series, and today we are covering what are some good exercises for diastasis if there is prolapse and weak pelvic floor muscles, given that there may be an increase in pressure that the pelvic floor may not be able to withstand. So it's a great question. There's a lot in that. So what are some good exercises for diastasis? So right off the bat, the idea that there are good exercises, bad exercises, I like to challenge them right off the bat. I really do think that it's more about what exercises can you do right now as opposed to good ones, because what's good for one person may not actually be good for another person, and what's good for that person may not be good for the other person. So, working individually with somebody is really, really important. If you're concerned about a pelvic organ prolapse, then I do suggest working with a knowledgeable pelvic health physiotherapist, physical therapist, who's experienced at understanding exercises and diastasis. Now, there is a range of different people out there, and we welcome all of those who are working towards the betterment of female pelvic health and diastasis, because ultimately everybody wants to help their clients. I think, people don't get into this profession to make lots of money. Believe me, it is not a big earning type of profession. If that was what I was interested in, I should have become an investment banker, a lawyer, something like that. However, this is such a rewarding profession because we get to help people, and that's why we join the profession, whether you're a health professional or a fitness professional. So first of all, I want to just challenge the idea that there are good exercises to do. Instead, basically everything is on the table for me, how you do it, and the considerations as to the risk that's there for you. I think as somebody with diastasis, I think that's up to you to make your choices, and we give you the information there. So number one, if there is a pelvic organ prolapse and weak pelvic floor muscles. So number one, I always suggest, whether you see me or not, to get an assessment from a pelvic health physiotherapist, physical therapist, because they're the ones who are able to give you a really clear understanding of what's going on with your pelvic floor. I cannot provide that because I don't do internal examinations. So I work with other pelvic health physios to give me that type of information so that I can work with my clients. Having said that, what are things that I like to do with people? I like to really challenge what we do and find the hardest things that people can do with a diastasis that still is mindful of their prolapse, mindful of their pelvic floor, and whether their intra-abdominal pressure increases or not, I'm mindful of that as well, but I'm also mindful that coughing, sneezing, vomiting, and being upright, getting up out of a chair, a lot of these things that we do every day, they're actually higher pressure, higher load on the pelvic floor than some of the exercises that we do that are just body weight only. So standing up out of a chair is more pressure than a lot of lying down exercises, for example. If you're concerned about a prolapse and pressure, then lying down to do your exercises is one of the lowest pressure ways that you can do that. Number two, consider that the diastasis can actually be helpful in taking pressure away from your pelvic floor. I think that that's one of the brilliant design features of a diastasis soon after giving birth. We've seen that the ability to generate intra-abdominal pressure soon after giving birth, that increases as well as the diastasis coming together. So, in that early postpartum period, that 0 to 6, 0 to 8 weeks, that's when the diastasis is slowly coming together. And that's also when the intra-abdominal pressure is slowly rising. So that's a very interesting amalgamation of different research right there for you. So what's good exercises? Whatever feels good. I think that's the first thing that we should look at, whatever feels good. What is it that you want to do? Do you want to go back to doing marathon running training, for example? Well, that may be helpful for you, that may not be. In terms of your symptoms, are you concerned about the pelvic floor? Are you concerned about the prolapse? Or are you concerned about the diastasis? Because I think they're different considerations. But trying to take care of all three of them, then I personally prefer to find exercises that head you towards the goal of what you want to do. You want to run a marathon, there are people with prolapses and weaker pelvic floors that have done this. So you want to do that. We're going to make sure that you've got people on your team that can help you. Maybe a pessary, a vaginal support pessary might be helpful for you. It may not be, but that's not my job. That's somebody else's job. My job is to make you aware that it might be helpful. Other things, so impact loading, using your muscles, rotational ability, 3D motion, the ability to pick up and put things down. All of these exercises are good. So that means if you like going to the gym and doing weights, then doing that. If you like body weight exercises, gymnastics, pole dancing, Pilates, yoga, whatever it is that you like to do, I would be looking at those as being good exercises for you and your diastasis and your prolapse. The considerations that I have are things like, are you bearing down during those exercises? I think that's much more important to think about, because if you are bearing down and you're progressing that prolapse, then finding different ways and different strategies to do that might be helpful for you because of the concern about a weaker pelvic floor. But in terms of the weaker pelvic floor, we like to use impact loading. We like to use strength-based loading. We like to be upright because that's what you do in everyday life. And we like to make you training harder than life so that life becomes easier. So what are good exercises for diastasis with a prolapse and a weaker pelvic floor? Potentially all of them are good for it. It's the assessment, it's how you do it that matters, not what exercise you choose. So hopefully you find that helpful. Working together with somebody who understands that, who understands what the research says about things like that. The fact that pelvic floor safe exercises, they don't really exist because the pressures on the pelvic floor are actually similar in a lot of cases. So understanding that it's an individual thing. There are some people I do not give crunches to, and there are other people that I give a double leg lift, hollow rock hold to do. The people that don't get to do that, in terms of a recommendation from me, are the people that are bearing down or demonstrating that they are not able to do that in the way that makes me happy and in the way that makes them happy. So it's not on the menu for them right now, but it might be later down the track. And for those who are able to do all the easy exercises, finding what's difficult for them is appropriate for them, and they're able to do it with the controlling the pressure. Even though the pressure might be relatively high, they're able to control it. They're watching out for symptoms both now and for later, and we're working together to progress them, leaning on the fences and heading them towards their goals. So just a reminder, you can support the Diastasis Project, which is a donation-run project. You can donate via the QR code. You can register for the diastasis discussions there. You can support the YouTube channel by subscribing to it, turning those notifications on, joining the Facebook group, joining the Instagram page, joining the project and contributing to it in whatever way you would like at diastasis.info. You can register for the diastasis discussions. It's a free webinar series that we're doing. So register for that. You only have to register once and you'll get updates on when the next diastasis discussions will be. You can donate via PayPal and you can buy a course that supports us. So the Lisa Ryan consult is 2 hours. Hopefully you enjoy that. And Lisa and I talk about it for 4 hours while we're watching it, and we stop and we pause, and it's like a director's cut where we stop and we talk about things as we're watching the consult unfold. And there's a Diastasis Reframed course as well. So if you'd like to support the project in some way, please do that. Otherwise, I'm going to be recording these Q&As when I can, and I have over 200 questions that have been asked. So hopefully I will get through those in the next year. All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. And I hope to see you soon. Cheers.